Hi everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video to show you how to achieve the ombre look on our Love and Lucky letter set, and just quickly show you how easy it is and how to glue them and assemble the stands. So I'm going to start out by saying, if you do not want to do this technique, you don't have to. That's the beauty of these kits. You can literally paint this, let's say all pink, paint this all gray, glue them together, and call it a day. I mean, and it still looks adorable. So if you would like to do that, that's all you need to know, and you do not have to watch the rest of this video. You'll just take your sponge that's included in your kit, dip it in your paint, and smear it like this. I'll show you some tips on how to do that also. If you hold your wood and go away from you, you're not going to get it all over the edges of your wood. That's a cool little trick. And then you'll just glue them together, and that's it. So for those of you who do want to do the ombre look, we're going to get started. You're going to dip your sponge into your paint, dab a little bit off, and for the top layer of the love letter, I'm just doing gray, and this is literally all that you do. You're dabbing it on, not too much. You're going to need 2 coats for this, so don't try to achieve a perfect finish on your first go around. It's not going to be perfect the first time, but you're better off doing a light layer like this and letting it dry, and then you'll do your second coat. So you just toss that to the side, let that dry. Now we're going to get started on the ombre look. So in your kit you have pink and white paint. Start with 1 sponge and go for the pink. Now for this, you can just take your letter, start at the top, and do your pink color, just like this. Now, you can take the remainder and kind of blend it out like this, because the makeup sponge will do that work for you while you don't have hardly any paint on it. And see how that just kind of blended that for you? That's the beauty of these sponges. As long as you don't use a ton of paint, it is so easy to achieve that. So for this one, I did the bottom white. I will also note you don't have to do this. This is like, I mean, we're getting fancy here, adding the white to the bottom. If you don't want to do the white, you don't have to. My kids are here, as you can hear. Nathan, I'm making a video. So you can just take the bottom white and do the same thing you did up top, where you kind of let that makeup sponge blend that in for you. If you want to skip that step, you certainly can. And so instead of doing white at the bottom, you're just going to go ahead and do this next step that I'm going to show you how to do, and just completely negate the white at the bottom. You're going to take some of your pink and put that in a separate space here. And then you're going to take your white and you're going to put that in with the pink, and you're going to mix them together. That's going to achieve a nice light pink. And this is all on you guys. Like, however you want that pink to look, just mix those colors together until you're happy. But make sure that it's lighter than the dark pink, obviously. So once you have that color that you like, just dab some of that extra paint off. And you're going to go ahead, and I like to start in the middle because that's where the most paint's going to be. This way I'm not globbing it too close to the top, too close to the bottom. And same deal, I'm not pressing too hard. And I'm kind of letting that makeup sponge really do the work for me. I'll go down into my white, come back up here, and I'll go up into my pink. And turn that sponge however you need to. Okay, so right out of the gate, it's not pretty at all. Like, it doesn't look perfect, so don't panic. But I will tell you that even if you were to leave it like this, which isn't the greatest, and you put that over top, it really doesn't look that bad. So don't go crazy. This top layer covers a lot of this, so it honest to God doesn't have to be so perfect. But if you're like me and you want it to be somewhat perfect, now you'll come back up, give that pink another dab. This way the pink's a little more darker. And now you're getting that pink blend line wet with paint. Now you're going to take that color that you mixed, go back on this again, And when you're coming up into the pink, take that paint and you're kind of like smearing it up. You're smearing it up. And you're gonna just literally rotate these steps until you're happy with the final look. I'm now taking my dark pink and I'm smearing it into the light pink. And you're gonna just do that until you find your happy place. And like I said, it seriously does not have to be perfect. But once you get this blend line wet with paint, like I just did, I went in with my pink, I went in with the dark pink, I went in with my light pink. Now that it's wet paint mixing with wet paint, it's honest to God like blending for you. I'm barely doing anything there. And see how that just blended in so nicely. And here's the thing, guys, know when to walk away, because I will tell you the truth. On my first go around at this, I took forever because I was like, oh, well, I want it to be a little lighter and I want it to be a little darker. No, just get it blended and put it down and walk away. So I'm going to just do the same down here. I'm getting my blend line wet, put the white on there. Now I'm gonna get my pink that I made, my light pink, and I'm gonna smear that in to my blend line while both of the paints are wet. And then I'm gonna go back with my white and come up. I'm like smearing it in with like medium pressure. You don't have to press too hard. And see how when it's wet like that, it really just pretty much does all the work for you. I know a lot of you have been to the studio and this was so much fun to do on signs, and I do miss being able to be in your faces to show you this, but hopefully you get the gist. You're just rocking back and forth until you find your happy place. And like I said, guys, seriously, like, that's fine looking. It's not the best. You don't have to make it perfect, because when this goes on top, it looks awesome. As long as you don't see a stark line in between, it really does the work for you. So then you'll just take your gray, dab over this. And now you see, like, there's no, I don't know if you can see this on this video, but there's no wood. It'd probably help if I turned my light on for you guys. If it turns on, there we go. Hopefully you can see it a little bit better now. So you're just dabbing, dab, dab, dab. Now there's no wood showing. That's all covered up. So you'll take your super glue, you'll just, like, I literally did my Lucky and Love sets with 1 tube of glue just to see if I could achieve it, and I did. So you guys have 2 tubes of glue because you have, each kit came with a whole tube. So that should just show you, like, you don't have to put globs of glue on everything, because remember, you're putting this over top. You don't want that glue to be seen. So just light dabs of glue, get it on there, level it up, make sure that everything's flat and together, and that is it. It's so cute. So then you have your bases, and this is the same for the hearts. The letter bases are long, the heart bases are short. So you'll paint this, you can paint it whatever color you want. I did gray, paint this layer, and then just put a little bit of glue on this top layer that has the slit in it. And like, you're eyeballing it as center as you can get it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just as center as you can get it, put a little glue on there, let it sit. And once it does, this letter just sits right in there. I mean, this isn't going to do the greatest job because it's not glued together, but it just sits right in there, and that's that. So if you just had the love kit, you are good to go. Send me pictures. You guys know I love seeing your final products. That's my favorite. So now we're moving on to the Lucky. If you got a Lucky kit, your top layer is black. Same deal. You're gonna dab on there like this. Dab, dab, dab. And like, honest to God, I mean, you should have so much more paint in your kits than you need to, but I know there's a lot of painting, so I purposely did give you extra, but just a little bit. And like I said, the first time around, it's not gonna look the greatest. You're gonna see some wood, that's okay. Let it dry. Move on to your next letter. So for this one, I kept it more simple than the love, and I only did 2 layers. So start with your dark green, and remember, we're kind of swiping away from us when we paint this so that we don't get it all over the edge. Like my edge is totally clean. And then put it down and let the makeup sponge do the work for you. Turn it however you feel comfortable, however you're finding it's blending nicer. Get that paint out of there. And now you don't have a solid, harsh line going across. It's more blended, faded in. So I'm gonna do another coat of paint just to darken up this green, just a little bit. And now I'm gonna do exactly what I did before. I'm gonna take some of that green paint with my sponge. I'm gonna take some white paint with a new sponge, and I'm gonna mix them together until I'm happy with a lighter green color. Probably do a little lighter. And so for this too, what you could also do is you could essentially make 2 different greens. You could do a medium, and then you could do more green with even more white and make it even lighter for that very, very bottom layer if you want to get fancy. But I didn't love how the green blended into just solid white on this one, so that's why I wanted to just keep it a little more simple and not have it blend into just white. I think it's just a little too different of a color for that to look even remotely blended, so I didn't want to do that. All right, so I'm coming up into my dark green, and I'm applying a little less pressure, but I'm letting the makeup sponge basically run out of paint along that line. And now I'm gonna go back in with my green and get that blend line wet with paint, not soaked, just a little wet. I'm gonna go up a little bit more. I'm gonna get into that line there, let it touch, let it meet that other paint that was just put on there. Let it meet that, so they'll wet paint on wet paint. Get your sponge a little bit wet again and start to dab into that line. And now you can start to just come up. Very light pressure. You're pulling that wet paint into that dark green. And now you can go back in with the dark green and do the same thing, where now you're pulling it back down into the light green. And now you can start to see, I mean, that's basically when like the magic starts to happen. Once you start to repeat these steps, you can start to see the colors are fading and they're blending very nicely. Just takes a few times, and then all of a sudden you see it happen and you're like, okay, know when to stop. That's the key. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that, because like I said, once you plop this top layer on, it is like a magic pen. It's magic, because even if it's not perfect, you really can't tell. Okay, so I'm gonna just take this medium color, now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna take this medium color and I'm gonna add a little bit more white into it so that I can lighten it up even more and make my third green color here, just so that I can have it end with an even lighter green color. So obviously, guys, get out of a paper plate, because you need some space to do all of this mixing. Okay, so there's my lighter green that I'm gonna end with. So we come up to the line, we take our sponge from, oh, I used that sponge. Don't do what I just did. Take some of your medium green that you just made for your middle layer, and get that into the wet line here. Bring it down. Now you have two wet lines meeting each other, and you're gonna start to blend up into that green. The lights into the medium green. Come down with it. And that blended really nicely on the first try. So now you have this little ombre look. When you put this over top, voila. So cute, right? And then don't forget, for the lucky stands, I painted this black. You're gonna take a little bit of glue around. When I glue, I literally take my super glue and I dot. I'm like dotting onto certain things. This way it's not like a big line of glue. Line them up, and there you have it. That's that. Okay, I won't keep you guys any longer. Send me your final pictures. Have so much fun. And thank you guys for your purchase. Obviously, the time for the love letters has gone away, but there's still plenty of time to order the lucky letters if you have not done so yet. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Fingers crossed for no snow tomorrow. Bye.